Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is GBan99. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today, we're back with another video where today we're going to be doing a little bit of replay analysis. This is something that I know I definitely need to do to get better at League of Legends, and some of you guys have requested I do this in a video, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Today's replay is going to be one taken from our stream that happened a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago at this point, and this was a game that was a pretty interesting game. Today's video is dedicated to all of you that have ever said the phrase, I can't carry this team. This team is just too bad. I was going to lose this game no matter what. I didn't do anything wrong. I just have trash teammates. That's the kind of game this was, and we're going to be observing what I did wrong. But anyway, let's go ahead and start things off with what I did right, because this game did start off really strong for me. It starts off with Galio. This was the Galio that picked Galio into me. He saw that I was playing Fiora, and he decided to pick Galio. It feels like Fiora is an incredibly strong counter because of what you're going to see in a second here. His charge takes such a long time to go, it's easy to parry it and get a free stun, and that stun gets me first blood. I BM a little because I'm on a losing streak, and I'm glad to finally be winning a laning phase. Here the Kha'Zix comes top lane and ganks me where I have to use my flash to get away. That might have been a mistake. Maybe I could have saved that flash if I used one of my two wards I currently have stacked, and that might have actually been a pretty big problem on my part in not warding and backing off quickly, but still pretty solid start. That's followed up with me getting back to lane, Galio being kind of crazy aggressive, and me doing the exact same thing that I did to get the first blood. I get another kill on Galio as well as a double buff. Things are looking really great right now, right? I mean, everything's going pretty damn well for me, but then Kha'Zix comes top lane and he kills me. I don't know if this was a really big mistake because I did have that flash down from earlier from not warding, and maybe I could have predicted he was going to lane gank. I definitely could have not been using my Q to last hit minions and then maybe gotten away with that. So maybe a little bit of mistakes here and there, but overall I do recognize Kha'Zix is camping top, and I won't die to him anymore for the rest of the game, or for the rest of the laning phase at least. Still a pretty solid start. Following that, I continue just focusing on killing this Galio over and over. I think this is actually a bad flaw in my playstyle, because I think, you know, a lot of people say that old League of Legends players can't play the game anymore because they're bad or whatever. Maybe that's true, but I don't think the problem that older League of Legends players have with adapting to the game currently is like their bad mechanics from them getting so old. I think the problem is a lot of them get stuck in previous seasons' mindsets. So for instance, you know, I started playing League of Legends back when the strategy top lane was win lane win game. So that's all that I do here. I just try and kill this Galio over and over, and you do see some really bad parries and stuff like that, but a lot of that is, you know, that's just my inexperience with Fiora. I'm still playing well enough that we start this game off 4-1. Pretty solid start. Kha'Zix will be coming back top lane again to try and deal with me, and the reason for it, we'll point it out in a second. Right here, I make a little bit of a mistake in not seeing him show up on the ward. I have to have a teammate ping the ward to me, and so I don't back off quick enough and end up having to use my flash as Galio flash taunts. But then Rek'Sai, thankfully, is coming up top lane to help me out, and I love these little fights, 2 versus 2 or 1 versus 2 as Fiora top lane. Just getting that ultimate off, it's so easy to get these kills and be aggressive here, and it's so fun too. Fiora, I've really taken to Fiora lately. I'm able to get a kill here on Kha'Zix. Rek'Sai is able to get a kill here on Galio, and right now I feel like it's smooth sailing, right? We're 5-1-1, everything's going great. But then I realize, we're 5-1-1, and our team has 6 kills. The enemy team has 7 kills. That I've participated in 100% of our team's kills, and everybody else on my team is losing lane 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2. This cannot be good. So I start panicking. I get another kill on Galio here, and I'm like, okay, we immediately have to take this top tower because I have to go help out my teammates. My teammates, they're losing 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 in mid and bot lane. I need to give them some help, because if my teammates don't play well or like do well enough, then we're definitely going to lose this game 100%. So that's what we focus on. We take the first tower here, and then we head bot lane. There are a few mistakes here and there that you could argue I make. Like right here, Blitzcrank gets caught out, and maybe I could have teleported to one of those minions and then saved him, or like forced the enemy team to back off so they wouldn't be able to finish him off. That might be a mistake, but I feel like that's a pretty minor mistake, and things generally still work out for us here. Draven gets a kill on Ashe, and as I see the Cassiopeia coming, I try and surprise her and see if I can get a kill on her. But Kha'Zix is also here, so we have to back off a little bit. But but nobody dies. Things are still going pretty well, and I'm pretty committed to staying bot lane and helping this bot lane out because we really do need them to play well if we're going to win the game. Fizz makes a really good play here and coming down and catching out the Kha'Zix before he's able to get away with the Thresh Lantern. And after he's dead, we're thinking, okay, let's go ahead and take this bot tower. This is going to be pretty, it should be a pretty easy tower for us to take, and it ultimately ends up being pretty easy. The Cassiopeia comes bot to try and defend it, but once she uses her ultimate on Draven, I can use my ultimate on her, pick up a pretty easy kill, and then go a little bit aggressive and dumb using a really bad parry that forces me to have to flash away to safety. But still, we get that bot tower, or Draven does eventually, but, you know, things are still going relatively well. What happens next is where I really start making some bad plays. I have a bad habit of, like, thinking I need to do all sorts of crazy things to win a game when my teammates aren't playing well. So right here, I end up TP ganking to a ward bot lane and trying to get a kill on Ashe. I don't get a good parry off. I was trying to parry the ultimate, but, you know, I don't know if you're supposed to try and predict that or if you can do it reactionally on 60 ping, but I end up getting really frustrated, and I'm like, okay, let's just chase him down and maybe get a kill here, but this is probably the worst possible thing I could do. I think Kha'Zix actually kills the Scuttlebug here, and while I'm looking up at Cassiopeia, I don't notice it. He's right here, and then the enemy team is going to be able to get a kill on me. This is, I also end up baiting my Fizz into dying. I'm starting to play pretty bad now. That might be one of my first big mistakes in the game, and, you know, I'm still 7-2-2, but the more kills you have, and the more your team is relying on you to carry the game, the less mistakes you can afford to make. Right here, I end up going and getting a kill on the Kha'Zix, helping out Fizz get that, but then we overextend. I think that, oh, I can go forward and get a kill on Cassiopeia with Fizz, but I don't realize nobody's on the map. They're probably all heading mid, and Fizz can get away from that. I can't. I end up dying, and I'm starting to give a pretty big amount of gold to the enemy team with all these deaths. So then I respond by going top lane and just killing this Galio a little more and trying to push top to take the top inner turret, which I think ends up working for us. But this sort of starts to show a theme of this game, and really what I hope a lot of you guys take away from this video when you think about, oh, I always play well, but my teammates end up dragging me down and we lose the game. This is a game where if one of my teammates didn't feed, if mid lane won their lane or if bot lane won their lane, or even if they just didn't die in laning phase, right, then we would have won this game. I think it's pretty safe to say. But we also would have won this game if I wasn't making these aggressive mistakes. If I wasn't going and getting caught and trying to force these bad plays, we would have ended up winning this game that way too, and that's something I have control over. I have no control over whether my teammates play well or not. That's something that I think a lot of people don't think about. You can play every situation perfectly well, but you still have to be putting your teammates in good situations for them to win the game. You can play a situation perfectly, but if you're making a bad situation with a bad engage or decision, that's still a mistake. A perfect example of that is what happens next, where our Rek'Sai, I almost said Kha'Zix, our Rek'Sai decides to go and try and take a Baron. I think, yeah, this is a good idea because we can force the enemy team to fight here. I don't realize it's warded. They get a pretty good engage. To my credit, I end up getting the stun on the Cassiopeia ultimate, but I still end up dying because I have no parry now. And that was a 4 versus 4 or 4 versus 5 with Fizz splitting bot lane where he ends up taking an inhib turret, but that is nowhere near worth. The enemy team ends up killing all of my teammates and taking the Baron, and that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say you can't put your team in bad situations. If we didn't go for that crazy Baron, then we probably would have won this game. I mean, maybe I played that right, parrying the Cassiopeia ultimate, but we could have just not made the bad situation. It doesn't matter how well I played the situation if I was making a bad decision in the first place. At this point in the game, I get a little bit tilted, and I think, okay, if we can't win 4 versus 4s, or if we can't win team fights, let's go split push bot lane. I split push bot lane without wards, without seeing anyone on the enemy team. Again, I get a stun on a parry. I don't think I stunned the right target, but like that's not going to matter when the enemy team is doing so well, and when I'm trying to 2v1, and that's a pretty big mistake because now the 952 Fiora, who's been trying to carry the game, is dead, and the enemy team can fight 5 versus 4 against my team that's already depleted on gold because I've been taking all the kills. That's probably the worst possible decision I could make, getting myself killed before a team fight where the enemy team is just going to be able to crush my teammates. I mean, that's another example of a bad decision that I make that ends up really costing my team big. We lose an inhib off that. And then this moment happens. This was the moment that really made me snap in the head, where okay, so it starts off with me seeing that Cassiopeia is going to do her blue buff. So I'm like, okay, me and Draven, let's go kill her. Ashe shows up. I go aggressive. I get a good ultimate. I get an amazing parry where I parry the Cassiopeia's ultimate, but then Ashe ults me. I end up dying anyway, and we just both end up dying. I was fuming at this point. I was thinking there was no possible way I could play that situation better. I couldn't possibly do anything better than parrying an ultimate that also stuns an important target that we're focusing, but that doesn't matter. I'm still putting my teammates in a really bad situation, and that's what ends up losing us this game. You can play as well as Faker in a bad situation and still lose a team fight. That's not going to change the fact that you're still making a bad engage or forcing a bad team fight or doing whatever bad thing ends up losing you the game. And this is why we end up losing this game. We did not lose this game because my teammates played badly. We could have won if they played better, but that's not relevant. We lost this game because I didn't make good engages. I didn't make good decisions with going for Barons. I didn't split push at opportune moments, and I ultimately ended up having some really poor macro in the mid and late game that caused us to lose this match. In the middle of it, in the thick of it, I didn't realize that. I just thought I had bad teammates and I was never going to be able to win, but there was a path for us to win if we just didn't make some of the bad mistakes we made. Ultimately, we end up losing the game off of another bad decision on my part, which is pretty fitting. I leave my teammates to go split bot lane, hopefully trying to take that inhibitor, but then my teammates get caught out and we lose a team fight. They lose a team fight without me. By the time I show up, I can't do anything. I just end up dying, I think. And this is another example of me thinking like, hey, teammates, you suck. Why could you just not get engaged upon? But the enemy team has incredible engage with an Ashe ultimate, with Galio, with everything that they have. I mean, this was a pretty idiotic decision on my part, and I mean, this was something that was my fault. I cannot pin this on my teammates, even though I tried to pin it on them in the Twitch chat. I think that they end up pushing here, and I respawn briefly to try and push them away, but they end up catching me out and they win the game. But that's the theme of this game. Even though I couldn't see it at the time in the middle of the stream and in the middle of playing this game, sorry for bumping the mic. Even if I couldn't see it myself, this was a game that I lost because of bad decision making in the mid and late game. Yes, this was a game that we could have won if our teammates played better, and you can always win a game if your teammates play better. If you have the best teammates in the world, you can win every game you want, but that's not what you should be focusing on. That's not something that you have control over. You got to just focus on what you do wrong, and this is something that I need to get better at recognizing in the moment, because this was a game that set me on a massive tilt after we ended up losing it. Anyway, though, that's a pretty important lesson that I kind of wanted to share with you guys today. I feel like it's an important lesson because it's a lesson I forget all the time, and I got to definitely work on doing better. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Either way, I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.